Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. Happy Friday, you guys. We are covering a very big song to end the week, none other than Look at Yourself. I believe this will be the fourth time covering this massive song. The first time would have been back on season 3, episode 1. Two versions we covered that day back on December 18th of 2020. Then, of course, it showed up again on the live album, which would have been May 17th, 19th, and 20th that I covered with Dave White. Then, of course, covered again for Totally Driven just back on April 14th in season 31, because we're in season 32, guys. 2.5 years, 32 seasons. The show has been crazy, but it's been a lot of fun to do. And thank all of you guys who have been listening, who've shared the show, who've let other people know, not just about the podcast, but about Uriah Heep, about all their wonderful music. They're definitely a band that lives, will live on in the history books for sure. Among, as far as I'm concerned, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Deep Purple, you name it. They belong right in there with all of those names. And it's been a joy doing the podcast, sharing their music with you guys, and hopefully, millions of people down the road as they discover the podcast, as they discover Uriah Heep. And that's the thing. Somebody said to me once that once you have been a part of a project, you become timeless. Your thing that you worked on is out there forever. And while we've seen all kinds of format changes, like just within my lifetime, I've seen reel-to-reel, 8-track, LP, cassette, CD, MP3 download, wave download, back to cassette, back to vinyl. There's been so much transition just in my lifetime. I can't imagine what's going to happen over the course of, the next even decade or two, as far as what delivery systems and production will be like. I can't even speculate. I have no idea where it'll go. I kind of feel like downloads will always be a thing because there's that immediate access, immediate payment for whoever the merchant is that's selling the product. So I think some form of downloads will always be there, or streaming, I should say. I would hate to think that streaming will be the only thing available. So I would like to think that you still have the ability to own your purchase. And, I don't stream anything, so I would like to think that will always be there. But you know what? Look at how much has changed just in my lifetime. I have no idea what things will be like even next week. And we're still battling over laws and fair payment and all that kind of stuff. We've got a long way to go. I'm sure by the time we get even close to finishing that, something else will have already cropped up into existence. So, but that's, Uriah Heep is already part of history, and they're continuing to make history. 25 albums in, they're still together. They're still performing. They're still doing stuff. I'm hoping that there'll be another studio album one day. And if so, I'll come back and cover it. And like I said, there may be some additional shows here and there. So, stay on the Instagram page, stay on the Facebook group. Those are the two main social media places that it appears. And then, of course, my website has all the information. We'll have updates and stuff like that. Yeah, who knows? But let's get into Look at Yourself, one of the champions of the show, fourth time covering it. Here we go. So very similar to Gypsy that we covered yesterday. It starts with a very skeletal frame. This one builds much faster, though. Really just love that tribal feel of what Russell was playing. kind of goes along with, when you think of the original ending of the song, kind of really goes along with that, all that percussion that comes in at the end. I'd be curious to see what they do with this version when it comes to that. Very powerful. The keys are right out front. Tempo's definitely fast, but yeah, this is cool. This is so energetic. I even feel like, again, Bernie has just found another gear for this song, and it's a heavier version. It's faster. It's going to push him a little bit harder to sing as well. I love the way that Russell throws these just elaborate, I can't really say they're melodic fills because he doesn't have the drum tones to be extremely melodic, but just with the couple of rack toms, it sounds just thunderous, I would say, and very fast, very fast hands, and mixing that in with the kick pedals. Very creative stuff. I love his style on this already.
Look back and turn back. Look at yourself. Don't be outrageous. Look at yourself.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to call it now. Russell is setting us up for a huge ending. Listening to how thunderous he's playing now, we're not even quite a minute in yet. Knowing what the end of this song was on the original version, I have to wonder if we aren't going to have some big percussive thing at the end. The way he's playing now, I feel like he's building towards it, so we'll see where the song goes. I don't know yet. I've never heard it. This version, anyway. I love the sound of Mick's guitar on there. It sounds really heavy, and I like that. It fits along with everything else. It's like if one person didn't sound heavy, then the whole structure would kind of fall a little bit. If the bass wasn't heavy enough, then it would sound too tinny, and it would take the drive out of the song. So it's such an important thing to have that balance of sound and where the sound is in the sound field, how it's panned left or right, that sort of thing. And I think they've really nailed it on this one. The mix is absolutely fantastic here.
If you need assistance, or if all you need is love, no point in hiding. Tell me what you're frightened of.
Boy, listen to the grit in Bernie's voice. I really feel like he's challenging the listener, to have this interaction with him. And I like it. I've never heard a version of this that hits quite this edge before. So just maybe that heaviness, maybe the powerful drum fills, the sped up tempo, maybe that's just pushing him, because it didn't sound like this on the Totally Driven version. Sounded good. He sounded gritty and everything, but this one I feel like he's really like in his zone. Good God, it's just thunderous. I love it. Absolutely love it. It does sound like one of Russell's drums is like right on the edge of distortion there. And that might be the gong drum. Very possible. A gong drum is basically a bass drum that's just set up more like a tom. So when you're looking at his kit from the front, you'll see like a bigger drum over to the left, or what would be his right. And that's the gong drum. So I don't know. I would imagine he had it when they recorded this, because all the kits of his that I've seen have had it. And that's just, it's like a lower frequency that's kind of thundering a little bit. And maybe it's rattle, maybe it's clipping or about to clip distortion. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely hearing something specifically with that drum. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, honestly, it just makes the song sound heavier. It's not unpleasant. It's not like it's clipping the mic and causing an unpleasant sound. It's just something that's noticeable on that drum as opposed to the rest of them. So, yep, I'm really wondering how they're going to end this one. I love the way that they changed that pattern when the rest of the band came back in. That was really sweet. Some very fast and tight playing between Mick and Phil. Very, very powerful. I love the tone balance that we're getting between the two of those instruments played together. It just sounds really good. Mick is just on fire, and I love how he returns to the riff and then goes back into the solo and returns and goes back. It's so interesting to be able to recreate the flow in a solo and then get out of it, recreate it, get out of it. I like that kind of playing. It's not something I want to hear all the time, but when it's one of those tricks, like I want to hear it now and then, like now was perfect. Also really interesting too, just from the audio perspective of the way that the China, when he's going, psh, 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 how it changes the overall sound of everything. And then when he stops hitting it, then it feels weird because it's not there. It's such an interesting thing how one sound, one hit, or a series of hits on one sound can really change the dynamic of a piece of music. It's just astounding to me to this day how no matter all the other things that are going on around it, that one thing can make an impact like that. While that wasn't quite the end I was hoping for, I have to say that was absolutely just fantastic. I love the change after that last chorus. I wasn't expecting that at all. Love the build there. I thought Phil's playing in the background was fantastic. I think some of it was getting a little bit drowned out by Russell's China cymbal. Talked about this before. When you're riding on a cymbal instead of a ride or a hi-hat, it really can cut out certain other frequencies depending on how it's mixed. This isn't mixed bad, but with a China cymbal, it's tough to not have it cut out something, as opposed to like just using a crash cymbal for it, because the China frequency is so specific. But yeah, that sounded great. A really powerful, completely different ending. Definitely had that concert feel to it. You know, I felt this was perfect for the stage. A little weird in the studio because I'm just kind of used to having that percussion all over the place. But I like what they did with it. I can't say I'm not a little disappointed we didn't have something a little more tribal in there, especially because it felt like we were set up for that ending early on in the song. But what they did was so great. I really can't complain about it. Why would I? That was awesome. Fantastic version of the song. Definitely translate to the stage very, very well. So, wow. Kind of blown away here. That will do it for our Friday episode. What a great note to go out on for the week, right? No pun intended, but pun intended. Excellent. Excellent job, guys. We will see you Monday for another episode. We got 3 to go in the season, and then that's it. So you guys have a fantastic weekend. Take some time to do something great for yourself. Take some time to do something great for somebody else. We'll see you next week, guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!